Yeah,
everyone.
good afternoon, everyone. It's such an honor to be here, to be able to speak in front of all of you, and to be able to share and talk about crypto. I do believe that we're at the very, very start of this adoption curve, that there's a lot of things that makes things interesting. And all of us being here, part of the relatively 1% that's trying to learn and discover crypto, because I really believe that it's very, very early still. Just to give a background of myself, I started investing in the stock market. I've been in equities for over 16 years now. But I heard about Bitcoin 2013. Like everyone else, when you hear about Bitcoin at the very, very early stage, you think it's a scam. It's something that's not going to go anywhere. But right here in Dubai, 5 years ago, somewhere around 2018, a friend nudged me and pushed me to start investing in Bitcoin and Ethereum. And coming from the top of 2017, I realized that, okay, let me give it a try. From the top of 20,000, it's at 3,000. The dump from 20,000 to 3,000, if it goes even lower to 90%, my downside would be 3,000 to 2,000. But if Bitcoin was what everyone says it would be, that it's the currency, the asset of the future, then there's a big chance that it goes back to 20,000. So I started it. I saw it as a diversification play from stocks and bonds into a different asset class. But when the lockdown started, I realized that, hey, this isn't just an asset that you buy low. When it goes up, you sell at a higher price. I saw it as an asset that is a piece of technology that's game changing. And as I started to see it, I, I saw that people need to get into this space, that people need to learn more about this, because there's something in this that's truly disruptive. There's something in this that will change the fabric of how we are doing things. Just to just to give you context of where I'm from Southeast Asia, and the entire narrative of how things are there is people send money from different parts of the world to where their families live, where their relatives live. And with that plays a lot of opportunity. Let me just give you this example. Does the slide work? Next slide, please. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that crypto is just a form of technology. People see it as something that's volatile, which is true, because it's also liquid, which is true, and people can buy and sell it off exchanges. But what people don't see is that crypto and this entire Web3 NFT space is just technology. And if there's one thing I know about technology, is technology moves forward. It's not going to go back. 10, 20, 30 years from now, we're not going to go back and say, let's use paper bills. We're not going to do that, because we're just going to go and move forward. And what's interesting about that is this. Once we hit scale, once we hit massive adoption, it's similar just to how the internet is. So if we believe that the internet is something that's changing our lives for the better, it's the same way on how crypto is going to be. Crypto is here to stay, and it's not a question whether people will use it or not. It's just a question of when. Can you, next slide, please. So, just to give context, I've maintained this one fact, that if Bitcoin only does one thing and it does it good enough, it's already game-changing to everything else. Remove all of the volatility, remove everything else. If there's an ability to send something cross-border at 11 p.m. at lightning fast speeds, when all of the banks are closed, when everything else is closed, and you get to send it with large amounts of money, that's something that's truly, that's something that will disrupt everything. Next slide. I want to show this. This is a GDP of the Philippines. 10% of it is coming from remittances. You have 36 billion US dollars being sent on a yearly basis, where people have to pay large fees, where people have to do a lot of paperwork, and where people have to wait for their money to be sent. Think about it this way. When people fly from London to New York, or from Los Angeles to Sydney, it just takes hours. But why does it have to take days for our money to come? If the only thing that crypto does is remittances, that's already something that's very interesting. Next slide. So, Bitcoin does it in 10 minutes in terms of how it sends money, in terms of how the blocks are validated. But there are other cryptos, there are other There are other projects that can even do it faster. And what's nice about that is we're just seeing the tip of it, where we will see more and more adoption in terms of how fast this gets. Next slide. And if you look at it also, Bitcoin allows you to have decentralization. It gives you the ability to store things. And I think that's one of the most important things that we need to see right now. When all of the banks are having trouble, when there's a lot of people trying to don't know what's going to happen to their reserves right now, people need to allot something into their portfolios that gives them the ability to store something that's not controlled, that they can store, and no one can take it away from them. And that's what I think crypto is. How do we bring the next billion users into this space? How do we let people who don't understand crypto come in? When we create something that adds value to them, when we create something that's a piece of technology that makes their lives better. Next slide. And I decided for myself that I wanted to dedicate a large portion of the prime of my years for it. I was right smack in the middle of how Axie Infinity exploded in Southeast Asia. I saw how, at the midst of lockdowns, people who had deployable funds were able to invest in something that added value. And in the same way, people who didn't have jobs have the ability to actually earn something and use something. And what's interesting about that is majority of the people who went into this game didn't really understand crypto. They just knew it was a game. They just knew that if they did something with it, they had the ability to actually get something based on the amount of time that they spent on it. Why am I saying this to all of you, and why is this relevant? A lot of people, when they enter crypto, from fiat to an exchange, they buy other coins, they just stay there. But this entire Axie ecosystem allowed them to be able to move into a decentralized wallet, allowed them to be able to buy NFTs. It onboarded more people. It allowed people to enter into certain spaces that a lot of people that are just trading crypto, they never had the chance to experience. And if we look at it from that perspective, what are the other things that are changing the way we live our lives that people don't? This is what I believe. There's a lot of talk. What will be the best layer 1 chain in the future? Will it be Ethereum? Will it be Near Protocol? Will it be Algorand? Will it be Cardano? Will it be Avalanche? Will it be so much more? I really believe that it will be cross-chain. I really believe that the infrastructure layer will be the base layer for all of these apps, these dApps to be built. That if these dApps are something that people understand and something that they will use, it doesn't matter what's below. Similar to how we connect with our phones right now, similar to how we use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We don't care what network we connect to. We don't care what cell site we are in. What matters is people get to use the dApp. People get to use the applications. And I believe the time is coming right now that, especially where we are in 2023, the hype is gone. People are not excited with crypto as where we were in 2021. But the ones that are staying, the ones that are remaining, are the ones that are building. And that's what makes it interesting, because the projects that are left right now are the ones that are building things that are truly game-changing and exciting. Next slide. So this is how it was even when Axie started to do its run-up from 2021, 2022. A lot of people were accepting crypto. Even in taxi drivers were literally accepting crypto as a form of payment. I barely see other tokens being used as payment, but I saw something that people used on a day-to-day basis, pay for transactions. That's when we see adoption, when people unknowingly use it, that they're not actually thinking, oh, I need to use this crypto, but they're using it because they know it's part of their daily lives. Next slide, please. So one project that I invested in and I'm partnered in and I'm advising also is what you call Public. It's an AI-powered platform that allows people, it marries Web3, AI, but not just Web3 and AI, it incentivizes people who help out in the ecosystem. Think about YouTube. YouTube, Google makes a ton of money from AdSense. But the creators, the people who do something in the entire ecosystem, don't have any value. Get a piece of the revenue, but Google takes most of it. Think about Instagram. The ones that give value to Instagram are the people posting and the consumers who are actually clicking, reading, watching the videos. But they get none of it. What Web3 does is it allows communities, it allows the entire ecosystem to benefit from this. And that's what Public is doing. But what's interesting about Public is that it's Web3 plus AI, plus it gives people the ability actually to earn doing what they love. Over the past few months, Public has already given out 800,000 US dollars worth in tokens from creators and people who are in the community that have helped out and contributed to it. This allows people already that if you love what you do, it will allow you to also earn off of it. It will allow you to be passionate about it, but not just that, it's something that you could live off from, especially in developing markets. Second project that I'm into, and next slide please. This is Bella Padilla, next slide. She's one of the biggest actresses in the Philippines. She has over 7.6 million followers. And not just that, she's a true believer of NFTs. She's a true believer of Web3. And majority of the movies that she has made have done really, really well. Have had blockbuster hits. Why am I saying this? If you don't know the context of how the movie industry is, there are a lot of writers, a lot of people with amazing minds, amazing plans to do something, creative people. But because there's so much barriers to entry, they can't get in. They can't get their videos out. They can't get their pieces out, whatever they've written. There's so much gatekeepers that are preventing them from coming in. Or in the same way also, there's a lot of people that they don't have the funding to be able to start it. So what we did, next slide please, is we created this NFT platform called Enroll. And what we do and what we're planning is to fund different movies for a lot of people who don't have the funding to be able to actually do it. But not just that. Since Bella Padilla is one of the biggest actresses in Southeast Asia, the goal and the narrative also to it is to give access and trainings to producers, directors, screenwriters, and artists who also want to make their niche or at least to make their mark in this industry. Second is it also gives their fans the ability to be able to access their favorite actors and actresses in a way that they have never done before. What we're seeing right here is for the ability of people, businesses, to have ownership into everything. And if you know the narrative of Web3, it's not just one central institution owning something. It's giving the ability to people and the community to have a piece of the action. It's giving people the ability to be able to actually earn from what they're actually doing. And it's not centralized. I'm not sure if you remember Friendster, Multiply, or all of the other platforms that were centralized. Once they start to close down, all of the data, all of the value that you've placed there is gone. And that's what we're trying to do. We're building something that will allow people to fund whatever dreams they have for movies, whatever plans that they have if they're creatives as well. And in the same way, it allows other end users to be able to be part of it. Next slide. So what will bring the first billion users into Web3? Next slide, please. It's just basically us, the first 1, 2, 3% that believes in this so much, that's building in this bear market, to create something that's not based on how prices will move, but basically things that will add value, things that have so much utility, and things that will change the status quo of how the next generation will be lived. And I believe that's something worth doing right now. And one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about this, I'm so motivated about this, is that when my daughter, 9-month-old daughter, grows old in the next few years, and we see mass adoption, I want to say to her that I wasn't just a spectator when all of this happened. I was right front and center in making this and pushing forward to this, because I really believe in this, that this is the future. This is not just a way for us to make money or to earn something. We are creating something that will change the next generation forever. Next slide, please. And with that, that's the end of my presentation. I hope you guys got something. Thank you so much.